Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome back to the Optimistic Survival Series. Today we are, as promised, starting off the video going over all of the diamond armor that I traded with our villagers between last episode and now, and as you can see, all of our chests are full. All of these chests right here that you see with the diamond icons are full. We haven't done gold yet. We need to spend some time AFK at our gold farm in the nether, but all of the diamond is full, including the diamond armor that will be turned into netherite. All in total, I think around 720 full sets of armor, 180 for each section. Well, really 360 if we are multiplying by each of these, since for the netherite armor we need a whole nother set. But lots of diamond armor, lots of times that we have traded with villagers, 12,770. Of course, not all of that was from the diamond armor, a lot of it from sticks and other trades like that. But if we head up to our villager trading hall, we will see right over here that our armorers are still offering a decent price. This one has gone up a little bit, presumably because of supply and demand, but still offering that 1 emerald trade for all of those because they were turned into zombies. And as I clarified in our last episode, they will be locked on those trades forever, so we will never have to worry about that. Again, anytime we need some diamond armor, we can go purchase some for an incredible price. But today we are moving on to something different. I have a plan for this area of the valley, a lakefront property, if you will, and one that is going to be quite grand and fit in to the landscape. If we fly up here and take a look at our valley, we will see that we have, actually, let me turn the view distance up just a little bit. There we go. We will see that we have a few very large buildings: the museum, the trading hall, our storage building, and this multi-purpose building right down here, which coincidentally does not actually have any purpose right now other than existing. We will change that in the future, but we have a lot of large buildings, and while the museum is somewhat of a grand building in how it looks, with those large pillars and lots of detailing happening in the walls, it is still relatively hidden and tucked away into the valley. In fact, if we fly down here into our town center, we can almost barely see it from the path, and it really doesn't stand out. What I want to build, and what I think we need to have in our valley, is a build that really stands out, sort of like this one right up here atop the hill. But again, this will eventually be surrounded by a bunch of other buildings. The plan over here is to build a gigantic castle, and I want to use some of our new blocks: the sulfur, the cinnabar, the resin bricks, and tuff. We are going to use a combination of all of those to create a stunning castle over by the lake. And it will be situated right over where we are looking. I've been spending a lot of time in creative working on this build, perfecting it, getting all the detailing exactly how I want it, and I am very excited to share all of that with you. But for now, we need to focus on getting those materials. It is a castle after all, and we are using blocks that we do not necessarily have an abundance of. So today we are focused on a resin farm, because if we're being honest, 4 resin bricks is not going to cut it if we even craft that into a single block. That's not going to be anywhere close to enough, so that's why we are going to build this resin farm. For that, we are going to need some pale oak logs, we are going to need some redstone, which we have in our ender chest, and most importantly of all, we are going to need a creaking heart. And right now it is all about finding a creaking heart. We might have used it in the museum, but I'm still going to go through and check all of our chests real quick. No luck back at our storage facility, unfortunately, but we do have one here in the museum, and I'm sure the museum curators would not mind if we borrowed this just temporarily while we build a castle, and we will bring that back once we are finished with it, or once we get some new ones. Now, what I have not yet figured out is where I want this build to be. We have a lot of space over here going towards the mountain, although I may reserve this for a future project that I'm going to keep quiet about for now. Behind the museum we have a little bit of space, but we haven't really developed over in that direction. I think our best candidate for this build is either going to be off towards the tree farm, but what I'm also thinking is down here by the river, because we have a nice flat spot right here, perfect for building, and I think a creaking farm or a resin farm would be the perfect fit. So we are going to want to make sure that we are doing this during the day because we don't want the creaking spawning in while we are trying to work on it. And this is a relatively simple design that I've seen in a number of places on the internet. It's involving observers, redstone dust, and some sticky pistons. Really just one sticky piston, and we are just going to place a creaking heart just like that. And we actually get the achievement for heart transplanter when we place a creaking heart with the correct alignment between two pale oak logs. So this creaking heart is now active. At night it will spawn in a creaking as long as we are, I believe, within 12 blocks or 32 blocks of this, something like that. When we hit the creaking, of course, it will not take damage. It will instead send particles in the direction of this creaking heart and spawn some resin clumps on the pale oak around it. And that is what we are going to take advantage of. The resin clumps will generate on the pale oak wood here, and we are going to have an observer that will tell us when that happens. When that does, it will send a redstone pulse through this redstone, activating the sticky piston that we are going to place above the pale oak log. If I can place it correctly, that is. There we go. And then we will put in a couple slabs. We will have one right here and one a full block above that sticky piston. One more piece of redstone dust on top of the piston as well for good measures. And just like that, we have our resin clump generator. So now technically this farm is done. That is all there is to it. We hit the creaking, it will generate some resin on that pale oak log there. And when that resin gets removed, because that log moves out of the way and it will fall off, it will put that block back in its place and the cycle can repeat. And it happens so quickly that it does not kill the creaking. I don't know that it even would if it went away and was like this after the creaking spawned. That is actually not something I have tested yet, but it does not matter. This is all we need to have the farm set up. But we are going to make this a little bit easier on ourselves. We are going to have a collection mechanism here at the bottom that will collect all of the resin clumps and turn it into resin bricks for us. We will do that with a pool of water, sending all of the resin that falls off into a single location. We will have a hopper in the middle. And actually, I take that back. We will not need the crafter because we are going to instead, first of all, let me even this out because I knew it looked kind of off and it was bothering me. There we go. We are instead going to have a furnace because we don't want the actual resin blocks, we want resin bricks. And to get those, we just need to smelt the resin clumps. Now I do want to make this look nice. We are going to turn it into a building, so we're not really going to be able to tell exactly what it is just by looking at it from the outside, but it is starting to get a little bit dark, so we are going to want to wrap things up here pretty soon for the night and sleep before we have a creaking spawn in. Of course, we could let it spawn and test it out and see how it goes. I think we might opt for that. But I'm going to clear out this second layer of grass and dirt, and we will put in some more permanent blocks in here. Alright, we have our creaking now. Of course, it will not move as long as we are looking at it, but when we hit it, we can see, there we go, we have some resin. We have to wait for those particles to completely go away before we can hit him. Again, if we do it over and over, nothing will happen, but if we wait for those particles to go away about 5 seconds, we can hit him again, and we can already see a handful of resin clumps on the floor. Really nothing to it. A very basic farm, one of the most basic that we have done. So let's go ahead and get rid of this creaking heart. That will of course kill the creaking, and we can collect all of those resin clumps. Just from that, we had 11. So after a full night of getting resin, we will have quite a bit of it. We will return that creaking heart in the morning. For now, let's go ahead and get some sleep. For the actual building part of this, I think we're going to use some deep slate mixed in with the pale oak wood, pale oak planks. So we are going to fill in the ground layer with our deep slate. We're not going to fill in the middle just yet because we want to get that furnace area set up as well. So we will have a hopper here in the middle that goes directly into a furnace, just like that. And below the furnace, we will of course have another hopper that will dispense that into a chest where we can collect all of those resin bricks. And actually, I think instead of having that just go directly into a chest, we will instead make a crafter so that we can turn all of that resin directly into the bricks. So let's get another hopper put down, or I guess we can go ahead and place our crafter just like that, and then we will place a hopper going into it. So we'll do that. We will disable 5 of the slots since we only need 4 of the resin bricks once they go through the furnace, and then it will dispense right here. It's been a while since we have used the crafter, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss it, so it will be good to return to making things with it. So we will clear out some space around here because we are going to want to make that clock for it. All right, there we go. So we've got our chest all set up. We have our crafter set up. We just need to get some fuel for the furnace, and then that will be good to go. And then we will pretty much be all set with all of this. Of course, we will need to have a chest access. For that, we will just staircase down right here a few blocks, and then I think if we dig through a couple right there, there we go. We can now reach our chest as well. So let's get some water put into place. I think we have some water buckets, or at least some empty buckets in our tool shulker box. We will source that from our lake over here, and we will just fill along these edges, and that will guide the water to the middle of the farm. And that is actually not what I wanted. Actually, though, conveniently enough, we had some sponges in our tool shulker box, so that worked out. So we just want the water in the corners, not on the edges. Not really sure how I didn't catch that before, but there we go. So now all of the water is floating to that center hopper. So now that all of that is completely finished, we can begin working on the outside of the building. And I think the way we are going to do this is have a wall going around. On this side, we're not going to have a super thick wall since we don't want to get too close to the lake, but I think we will leave maybe 1 block in between the grass and the water like that. And then over here on this side, we will have it go a little bit farther, maybe an additional 5 blocks inside there. We'll do something like that so we can go ahead and clear off this hillside, make room for the inside of our building. And these pillars are going to be, I think, sticking out by 1 block from the rest of the walls. So we will have the walls set in by 1 block, and I think we will space out pillars every 3 blocks if we can get that to line up. And we sure can, at least on this side. Let's see if we have the same luck over here. We absolutely do. That is fantastic. We are going to need to move our staircase a little bit. That is okay. We can worry about that in just a moment. And with all of those pillars into place, we will go around the base layer using the deep slate bricks. Just like that, we will also replace the grass under here with those bricks as well. Hopefully that didn't just destroy all of our redstone underneath. I don't think that goes all the way through, so we're good. However, I do hear a zombie that has spawned in down where all the redstone is, so we should probably get that taken care of before we have more destructive mobs spawning in. And it must be coming from somewhere else, actually, because I do not see one down here. That is just fine with me. And just to keep things consistent, I think we will do 1 more row of the deep slate bricks right here, and then we'll do some other flooring for the rest of this area. Now we fill in the walls. We're going to use those pale oak planks. For these, we're going to leave some space for windows as well. There we go, nice and simple. I kind of like this hillside being here. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit more so that we can kind of see some other parts of the building. Plus, this is where the door is going to be as well, so we want to have space to be able to get in, but I think that is fine. We could also put it on this side here. For the floor in here, we're going to go with something a little bit lighter, but not too light. We're just going to use some stone bricks. And I'm sure you are asking yourself where the creaking is going to be in here. We're not necessarily going to have the creaking in here. I just wanted to have a building around this. So we may operate the farm from somewhere else around this building, but inside here, that is where that is all going to collect, and I wanted it to look a little bit nicer on the inside. I think we will just have our staircase right over here. That will be nice and easy for us, and that will give us direct access into this space down here, which I'm not going to worry too much about making it look super nice. We will fix up these walls a little bit, make this area a little more appealing. And we will just use the deep slate bricks for that to continue that pattern. There we go. We can now access down here, get into the furnace, access the chest over here, and we are pretty much all good to go. So let's get some windows put onto this building and a roof, and then we will be in business. Alright, for windows, we're going to go with the dark oak fences, give some nice contrast, and blend nicely with the hydro plant over there, giving us a nice flow from the lighter style of build to our darker version of the ghast dock that we have over there. I think we'll put the door right here, kind of out of the way off to the side. And for the roof, we are going to use deep slate for the majority of it, but also use some stone brick in there as well. So we'll start with some slabs that will go all the way around the building. And again, we don't want this to be too extravagant or anything, because right across the lake, we are going to have what I think will be the most impressive build of our world so far. And there are some builds in here that I really like, so me saying that is definitely quite a bit. I'm holding myself to a high standard for it, but I am very excited for how it is going to look. Plus, I think it's something that the Valley has been missing for a while. I know we have the Town Hall and a form of structured government already, but I think every valley with a rich backstory has some kind of former monarch. So I'm gonna go grab some deep slate for the roof. I think we will just use raw deep slate and then we will be good to go and we can test out this farm. We are keeping things very basic. We are just going to do a simple pyramid roof with the stairs. And I think our roof is just going to narrowly miss the top of this mechanism right here. And that does appear to be the case. And here at the very top, to prevent it from getting too tall, we will go ahead and add in some deep slate slabs. Not to mention these are bottom half slabs, which will prevent mobs from spawning up here. One of our common issues across the valley. Just to break up the pattern on the roof a little bit, we are going to add in one more small window right here. And there we have it. There's our nice window up there. Again, a very modest building, one that fits into the area quite nicely and covers up the inside, which of course is not particularly attractive and has to be quite tall because of the pistons that we have up there and the redstone wiring. But now that everything is into place, let's make sure that the crafter and the hopper and furnace are all cleared out with all the items that may have fallen into it, and we can get started on harvesting some resin. So without further ado, let's return the creaking heart to its place and find the creaking. Here it is. And of course we can lure it just by looking away. So if we did want him inside, we could make him a little bit taller. But now we can go ahead and hit it again. Once those particles go away, it will send all of that over to these logs. I think we actually will open up the door so that he can get inside. I think he's getting caught on this door, so let's go ahead and move that. There we go. And now we can keep an eye on our mechanism here as we do this. And there we go. We've got some resin clumps. We'll do this a few more times. We'll remove the creaking heart, and then we will take a look at how much resin we have acquired. And I did forget to put some fuel in the furnace, so we will need to do that as well. But I should be able to get down here. Hopefully he doesn't follow too far. I don't know how far he will actually make it. For fuel, I think we will just throw in some of these pale oak logs. Now if we keep an eye on the captions down there, after it has smelted a few times, we should hopefully see the crafter activate, and that will be our cue that everything is working as it is supposed to be. And the crafter itself may not actually have a sound that it makes because I have not seen anything come up on the captions yet. And we technically don't even need an axe to do this. Why waste durability when we can just hit him with our fist? And it looks like the sun is starting to come up, and there goes our creaking. Once that sun rises, the creaking will no longer live because the creaking heart becomes disabled from use. So if we head on down here, let's take a look in our chest and see how we are doing. For resin bricks, of course, our backlog right now is actually in the furnace, not the crafter, so we may want to find a way to speed that up somehow. But a little over a stack, close to a stack and a half of resin. That is pretty good. We will store that creaking heart right here. We will let the rest of that smelt, and that will give us about 16 resin bricks. Not a whole lot. We are going to need multiple stacks, but this will at least help us get there somewhat quickly. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on content as soon as I post it. If you want to take your support to the next level, consider becoming a channel member. All of that information is down in the description. But with all of that being said, comment, like, subscribe, remember to stay optimistic, and I will see all of you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye!